Welcome to History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson Cable, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts.
What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Russ from Family Tree Nuts once again with my good pal
Jameson Cable from the Kentucky History Podcast.
From the Kentucky History Podcast. And man, we got a great topic tonight, don't we?
We do. We're taking a different note than our previous few weeks, but a good talk. All right.
We are live. Trying to check, see if we had a little. This is live, folks. Hey, I wanted to mention to you a couple of things, like we always say. Number one, we are not the absolute experts on this subject. We just know quite a bit about this subject. And number two, please comment. Give us some comments, some questions, concerns, some other input and things. And comment where you're from. A lot of people like to see that too. So, anyway, I'm so glad that you decided to finally let us do something that didn't have anything to do with alcohol or wild women. So I appreciate you letting us do something a little more wholesome tonight.
It is. It's nice to get back on the straight and narrow.
That's right. Absolutely. That was a little wild subjects we had there. But this was a totally different story. This is the Cane Ridge Revival. I'm willing to bet that most people do not know about the Cane Ridge Revival. Did you know about the Cane Ridge Revival before you were in high school?
Before I was in high school? No. I had no idea about it.
Did you learn about it in high school?
No, I don't think
And
so.
I know you're a Christian man. Did you learn about it in Sunday school?
No, I did not.
No.
I did not. Yeah.
but looks like we got Linda Bale. She's commented from Bean Station, Tennessee. Love that place.
Yeah.
I got to go do some videos there. But the Cane Ridge Revival was an amazing thing that happened in 1801. 1801 that actually, in my opinion, changed the culture of the entire United States on the path that it was going on. So
yeah, and more importantly for me, Kentucky. At the time, and you want to get a little perspective when you start talking about what was going on in 1801 in Kentucky. And it had only been a state for 8-9 years, and really you could describe it as the first Wild West.
Absolutely.
It was not a civilized organization or state at the moment, and which I say that lightly, of course. But as people started coming into Kentucky, well, the main reason Kentucky became a state was because there was such a big distance between Kentucky and Virginia and Williamsburg, which was the capital. So as more people started coming in, they started needing to be more of a state, so they made a state. But still, even in that sense, it was kind of hard to govern people with such a small population.
It was a wild place, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was a daggone wilderness where you could do what you wanted to do. You could beat your neighbor up, and nobody would. You saw the county maps. The sheriff might take, I don't know, a month to get to you, kind of thing. But that was a time when you could literally murder somebody and move 20 miles away, and nobody know anything different.
No.
Change your name and things like that. But Carol Harrison said, "Hey, I find your post interesting and informative from southeast Missouri." But that's pretty cool. Thank you, appreciate that. And but the Cane Ridge Revival, it happened. It when I discovered the Cane Ridge Revival years ago, I thought that there had to be some typos. You know, I had to go back and I had to do some research, because the sheer daggone numbers and logistics of the event is unfathomable, really.
It is.
So,
yeah.
When did this happen?
Well, 1801, like you said.
1801. In August of 1801.
Oh, in August.
What do we think about when we think of August? What do you think about?
School's starting back, but generally it's hot. It's hot.
Sweat.
Yeah.
School's starting back.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's when you have to work like the real world, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
So where's Cane Ridge? Where's Cane Ridge? Let's load the
Great
map
question. Show that map. Yeah, show that map if you would, Jordan. Cane Ridge is it's about 20 miles east of Lexington. It takes a little bit of time to get out there. It's outside of Paris. It's in modern day Bourbon County. So here we are, back to the booze, James, in the Bourbon County, and but it's out in the county. It's out in the country, and it's on what they call Cane Ridge. Do you know about Cane Ridge and what that's all about?
I don't know as much about that one. Tell us what you got.
Well, you know, like
well, I mean, canes, of course. But go ahead.
Right. It was definitely. Do you know what? You know, when they had a big ton of a ridge line of canes, what was there?
Animals like canes.
Lots of animals.
And most people like hunting, and well, they need to hunt to survive. So they were attracted to the canes.
It's kind of like. You know, like the licks and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty a wonderful place to settle. And let me tell you guys that those people that watch this around the country and stuff, man, there is a lot of beautiful countryside. If you take this drive out to Cane Ridge, it is definitely picturesque and looks like a calendar out there. But anyway, the Cane Ridge Revival, 1801. It started, I think, August 6th and ran through the 12th to the 13th. A little over a week there, but it took part in the Second Great Awakening. Do you remember the Second Great Awakening? You know what that's all about?
Well, I mean, it was this started it pretty much, wasn't it? What was his name? Barton Stone came and began preaching, and I mean, this wasn't just typically nowadays you think of a revival, you think of a week of service or half a week of service, and it's like at a church. But this was a bit bigger than just a normal revival. You had Baptists, Methodists, a whole bunch of people came to this.
Yeah, Presbyterians and things. Right about this time, the Second Great Awakening is a time that a lot of denominations receive their birth, I guess, kind of thing. Yeah. It's when denominations grew outside of just the regular Presbyterian or the Church of England, Episcopalian and things like this. When we have our Baptist and Methodist, the circuit riding preachers that basically said, stop being wild animals out here on the frontier and have some decency or you're going to burn in hell, basically, is the thing. So, but the thing about that is that created the structure for our whole entire culture. Who we are as Americans, and the family structure and things. Linda says, I remember the old-fashioned tent revivals back in the 1950s. Yeah. Usually had 200 or 300 people, but I was always excited to go. I'm glad that Linda brought that up, because this is 220 years ago, but that's exactly the type of revival this was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And the thing to mention too, it wasn't even planned that way. I mean, it started out as just a revival, and it exploded. I mean, 20,000 people showed up, I believe, is the number. So
20,000. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about that right now. That's one of the things when I first learned about this revival, about 15 years ago. I thought, man, that has to be 20,000 people. Man, this 1801. Where's the typo? 20,000 or 1801? I mean, think about this now. I mean, this is before the War of 1812 kind of thing. So the population of Kentucky was like 220,000 or so during that time. I mean, that's 10%. Think about 1 in every 10 people in your state attended this event. Yes,
that's massive. But I mean, think about Kentucky now is like 4 million people. So I mean,
right?
I don't know the math, obviously, of 10% right off the top of my head, but that would be almost impossible to have. But this was 10% of Good job.
400,000.
So
we're history people, not math people, right?
yeah. So to think that 10% of the population was able to get to this one place in 1801. I mean, they're carried, they're riding horses. It's quite amazing.
Horrible roads.
Yeah.
And that's the state population all the way out.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of thing. So it wasn't just the bluegrass region. And what's neat about that is that the word spread so much, and it was so powerful and so fast that people said, I got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I got to check this out, kind of thing. So, they said that on it started on, I think, on a Friday, and had tons of rain and things like that on Saturday, and they took refuge to the inside. They built big platforms to preach to everybody. I think there was 17 or 18 total ministers that preached during that week. On Sunday alone, they had 800 to 1,100. They're not sure that took communion. Which brings me to another thought. 800 to 11. I know my father's a pastor. I grew up in church. You're a Christian also. Imagine feeding or serving communion to 800 to 1,100 people.
That's a lot. I don't know how they did it. I mean, really.
How do you prepare for that?
Well, that's the thing. It started off as a 1 or 2 day revival, and then they end up going on into the next week because it was so big. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they prepared at all. They probably didn't. They didn't prepare for that much, I would assume, but
they didn't, which is kind of the miracle of the whole situation.
It really is, yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Sarah Bates said the Shakers came down from New England to preach. I found it interesting. Natives that were attracted to the Shaker teachings and became followers. I'm glad she brought that up. I think the Shaker movement was a little bit later in history there, around 1830s, 1840s. But the Shakers are kind of a great example, and they did come down from New England. There's a Shaker town in Ohio, or Shaker Heights, and then there's Shaker town here in central Kentucky. Do you know about the Shakers? Do you know a little bit about them or no?
Not as much as I probably should, but there's the Shaker town is pretty close. I've been there maybe once. It was a while back.
Sure.
But I don't know as much as I do. My mom knows a lot about it, but I've not absorbed that knowledge yet.
Well, the Shakers, they were known, for the way they danced and were blessed with the Spirit and shake. They shook.
Yeah.
But the reason they died out because they were celibate.
Yeah.
They were celibate. They had the men's dorm and the women's dorm. Well, if you don't make more Shakers, you're eventually going to die out.
You don't have any Shakers. If you don't make more Shakers, you don't have any Shakers.
But I have met some folks that are still part of that church kind of thing. But Linda Kellogg Bale said, with no microphones and the children.
Yeah.
Did you read some of the accounts that they have of Shakertown about the screaming, hollering babies and kids? So...
Yeah, I've not. But I was thinking more about this at the Cane Ridge Revival. That's very true. They didn't have microphones. They were all outdoors. It's really an amazing presentation or just an event if you think about it.
Sure is. It really is. It's unfathomable, really. And they said that the babies were hollering and screaming. And I know, when I go to church now, I'm like, take that crying kid out of the back, kind of thing. And for years and years and years, that was me and my family.
Hey, that's me now, man. That's me now.
And you get to thinking, you're like, well, man, if I'm going to go sit in the back or out in the parking lot, I might as well stay at the house, kind of thing. But so it's part of it. We need those babies there. So, and Sue said, I believe it was organized as a Scottish Holy Fair or communion session. Yeah, that's right. It's the way it started out. That's the Scottish Holy Fair is their idea of communion and stuff. They're in a Presbyterian church, the Church of Scotland. But it grew like crazy. And they say that the Holy Spirit came down and that people were, like we talked about earlier,
moved.
Shakers.
Yeah, they were moved or touched, or however you want to phrase it. But so there was 2 girls, I believe, it started off with, and that they, I guess were touched by the Spirit, if you want to call it that, and then it just spread. And I mean, that's what got people coming. Like they started hearing of these tales and all this of what happened, people just started coming more and more, and it was just it just ballooned up into a bigger event. But it's interesting too. A account I read was like a guy that was there. He's with a newspaper, and he told the lady next to him, "Hey, if something happens to me, call an ambulance or something like." Or he didn't say an ambulance, but call
an ambulance. Yeah, call 911, right?
Yeah,
holler it up.
But anyway, he left, and as he left, though, he started to, I guess, be overcome. And he ran in the woods and fell to the ground, passed out. When he came to, he confessed and I guess was baptized or saved and all that. And I guess he dedicated his life to the Bible and to Jesus and all that. And that happened multiple times, and the accounts were so accurate that people really took to them.
I'm glad you said that too, because one of the things about this particular event is it is very documented.
Yeah.
It is very, very written about, tons of journal entries, tons of letters written to people in other parts of the country and things. This was a major, major event, and we know so much about it because of all the documentation in early Kentucky history kind of thing. So,
yeah,
I mean, you got to realize this is only, I think, 9 years after the last Indian attack in the state. I mean, kind of thing, to have that many people that have poured in there, and this was a major, major event. It says, the people were jerking and crying and things like that. One person even said that looking out into the crowd looked like a battlefield.
Yeah,
people were laid out all over the place, kind of thing. So it's something that we haven't seen except for maybe some of those. Well, I won't get into that. It's like something we haven't seen today. But even there was a famous guy. There was a famous guy at the a very important person into Kentucky at the time was at the revival.
Oh yeah,
You know who that would have been?
Oh, Governor Garrett, right?
Yes, Governor Garrett, who was
James
from
Garrett.
Bourbon County.
He's from Bourbon County. Yes. Well, originally from Virginia, but when he came to Kentucky, he was in Bourbon County. He was the second governor of Kentucky. And he was the first. I know these are all just Governor Garrett facts, but
you like Governor Garrett, yeah.
Yeah, Garrett County's
did a
named after him.
podcasts about Governor Garrett.
Yeah. Garrett County's named after him. He was the first governor to serve 2 terms, but then they changed the Constitution, and you weren't allowed to serve 2 terms until it was in the 1900s before you could. So. Okay. That's a little bit of that, yeah.
But he was there. Now, Matt, do you think Governor Slick Andy, what is it, Dandy Andy? You think Dandy Andy would be at the revival if we were having it today over there?
I don't know. Oh, if it's in Crab Orchard, he should be here. If it's in Crab Orchard, I guess.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, kind of thing. So just imagine that. That's the governor was there, and they say he became overcome with the Spirit and had the shakes and things like that. So. There's lots of theories about why all that is and things, but the thing that gets me about this, and maybe it's because I'm an old military guy, is the logistics of that. We read in the Bible about the feeding of the 5,000. This was 10, 20,000.
Yeah,
kind of thing, and you got 2 loaves of two little fishes and 5 loaves of bread, but how in the world did they feed those people?
I mean, there had to be people out hunting, fishing, and gathering constantly, I would assume. I mean, there had to be. There's no way they could have sustained that many people in that area for that long without doing something.
There's many accounts of farmers' crops were ravaged and things, all the people setting up tents and things, eating all their hay. They all brought horses,
Yeah.
So horses ate up all their grain and their hay and stuff that was around there.
I mean
the logistics.
How would you? I mean, if you were a farmer, how would you handle that? If this is a big religious revival here, and they come eat all your hay, but yet you can't really get mad at them, can you? I mean, they're worshiping.
Right, that's true. But they said 20,000 people they say were there at any given time. But on average, they think that about 10,000 people were there every day. Now we say that number in passing, 10,000. Now think about 10,000 people. How many people were in your graduating class?
200.
Okay,
maybe,
200.
maybe 215.
So this is 50 times that, kind of thing that was there on any given day. Now think about your lunch ladies, kind of thing. How do you feed that's what I think about is the logistics of the feeding, the watering, the water and sanitation and things. Some of the people believe that this was entrepreneurs use it as an opportunity. Yeah. To oh my gosh, there's a bunch of people there. That's where we need to be. Yeah. Kind of thing. So they came in and set up and cooked and things like that. It had to be a joint effort, to that. But what's really cool about it is that it wasn't planned.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the real amazing thing is it really cropped up from a small revival, and the people were touched and had their shakes, if you want to say it that way, and it spread, and the word spread, and more people came. But was it all peaceful the whole time? Was everything? Was
it all peaceful? No, it was not peaceful. If you learn about, I know like the 700 Club's done stories about this revival. This is a major thing in Christianity. And the founding of our country, really, and who we became as a people of a God-fearing, respect the Bible Belt, that kind of thing. This is a major event in that time, but it wasn't all peaceful. They actually had to bring in some militia, to kind of handle some of the stuff. On the outskirts, there was a lot of fights, and like today, most of the people at the revival, a big percentage of them were women. So your wife wanted to go enjoy the preaching and the sermons, and me and you were hanging out the outskirts, maybe shooting some dice, playing some cards. This was a gathering place. This is where people are at.
At the pop-up saloon, maybe.
Right. That's the thing that about it is they say that outside, there were some moonshiners that popped up and some other establishments. We said we weren't going to talk about that in this particular episode, though, Jameson. So, but Taryn says, "Wow, this is great. Where are you from, Taryn?" And Linda Kellogg Bale says, grain porridge, deep soup pots, roasted wild deer, and they shared. So,
there you go. Yeah.
That's true. So quite an event, it feels like an event that you'd want to be at, It's kind of like the Christian version of Woodstock, isn't it?
I was thinking about that earlier. It's a Christian version of Woodstock.
Quite a different crowd.
150 years earlier, but or 160 years earlier.
Oh yeah,
but different.
Now, but this event became so well known and renowned and things that for decades people would pray, let our revival be like the Cane Ridge revival. It set the standard for revivals in the country. I've been to some pretty good revivals in my day, but I don't think I've had 10,000 folks.
No, me neither. Nothing like to that magnitude.
And today, Jordan, could you show a couple of shots of the church itself? The church is there today. It now has a shrine built over top of it, and you can visit this. And what I think is really cool is the times that I visited out there, there's a pastor. It falls on the duties of a retired pastor that actually is in charge of the church of today. He lives in like a parsonage right outside and things. He's there for to be a docent about what went on there and things. So what a neat little gig for retirement for a retired pastor. But they still hold some services there.
Well, it looks really nice. I mean, it's a really nice place to go. I'm not surprised that they do. I mean, they could worship there every Sunday if they wanted, I'd say.
Yeah, it was basically, and the neat thing about it was a church of the time or a meeting house of the times, is they could fit hundreds of people inside there, and the way that they did the seating and things like that with the loft is really it's really a great way to do it. I noticed that when I see some in the pictures there, but I noticed when I was there, they've got box fans in there. I don't think they had those in 1801. So kind of thing like that. Be a little bit hot. So imagine sitting. I know you don't have those padded. I know you don't. I know you got some padded pews at your church there, don't you?
Yeah. Don't want to sit on wood all day.
I know our church. We always had wood. They got padded now, but anyway, it's I guess. To sum all this up, hold on a second. Hey, there's Stephen Cottle, Daniel Boone. He's the world's most well-known Daniel Boone impersonator. He says hello from Winchester, Kentucky. First-time listener here. And he told me earlier today that he actually spoke there. He does some speaking engagements as Daniel Boone.
That's pretty cool.
He spoke there at this place. So it's a very, very important place. Matter of fact, Daniel Boone, as a side note, not very far from there, as the crow flies, what, a mile or two, is the burial site of Edward Boone, Daniel's brother, that was killed while they were out there on a hunting trip. But Sue says it's like a modern day Ichthus festival in Wilmore.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, that's a bit more. Aligns a bit better than Woodstock, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. That's a little better example. But I guess to sum all this up, Cane Ridge is important, and the reason we talk about it today is because it sets standards and boundaries and culture for our American culture, kind of thing. It kept us from being wild animals, where the rule of the sword or the rule of the rifle or the fist is what controlled things. So
and I'm gonna throw in too, talking about the Reverend Barton Stone, who started it, and that he had a very unique message for the time, and obviously his message wasn't taken to heart, but his big message was that he felt that like all the Christian groups should unite as one and not split up, and you have different dominations and all that sort of stuff. That was his big message, but that obviously did not take, because there's plenty of denominations now. But he was an interesting dude too on his own, but we'll talk about him another day. Yeah,
maybe we can do a story on him for sure.
Yeah.
So anything else about Cane Ridge that you'd like to talk about, or any of our people that are watching would like to questions or comments or input that they'd like to have? So
not much. My aunt's watching. Hello, Aunt Jen.
Oh, hello, Aunt Jen. Where's she? She's from Crab Orchard, I guess, right?
No, Rockcastle, man. Rockcastle. Level Green.
Isn't Crab Orchard in Rock?
No, it's in Lincoln. It's right beside Rockcastle. I mean, it's like
right
2
there,
miles.
Yeah, kind of thing. So
maybe
I
5 miles.
But hey, you're going to talk about, we had a giveaway, don't we?
We do. So last week we the big powder horn here. Now I will be clear, it doesn't open or anything. It's just display, but it's real cool from MOA. Got it at Fort Harrod, so pretty cool.
Right. What is a powder horn?
Well, it keeps your powder in it, man. Keeps your gunpowder in it. Got to keep your powder dry. But I got my little cup. Let me see if there we go. I'll reach in.
How did people get into that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I probably should tell those details. So they all they had to do was like and share the post, like the page, or they and comment on a person that they would like to talk about, or who they would like to talk to from history. Yeah. Except in America, that was the only stipulation. But that's pretty good, interesting people. People brought up Henry Skaggs, Boone's wife. I've lost her name real quick. Martha Boone?
Rebecca
Boone. Yeah.
Rebecca Bryan Boone.
Martha Washington. That was quite a few good suggestions that people thought they'd like to talk to. And of course, people had ancestors and stuff that they would like to talk to as well. And I know yours was you would pick Andrew Jackson, right?
Yeah, every day. Twice on Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll reach in here and draw somebody out here. All right, we got a big Dennis Peace. So Dennis, if you're watching, like peace.
Like peace. All right.
Yeah, peace. So if you're watching, I'll message you. If you're not watching, I'll still message you, and we'll get to see you. All right.
Awesome. You had a lot of them in there, didn't you? You had a lot of shares and comments and things, didn't you?
Yeah. And
okay.
we'll do another one next week. We'll line up something else. I got maybe a rabbit skin.
Okay.
Picture frame or a map, something. We can get plenty of things.
Okay. Sounds good. Stephen Connell, Daniel Boone, I should say, not Stephen Connell, should say that it has been said that Cane Ridge is still today considered the most powerful move of God and modern day history of the church.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I can see that.
It is. It really is. I mean, because that's especially for percentages. If you really look at percentages, you got to take that in consideration.
10% of the population is quite crazy. That's a massive number to be 10% of the population.
Carolyn Pigman Waite says, hello from Tennessee. Hey, Carolyn. And Sarah Bates said, some of those that attended came from North Carolina as well. Folks traveled long distances, having heard about the first year. We know on horseback, on foot, it took a couple weeks to make that trip, but on horseback, you can make it in a few days. So we talk about going, hey, I got to go to Kings Island or something like that, for a long trip, man. That's far. These people, I'm going to Kentucky for a revival they're having up there.
A week or two.
Yeah. That's amazing. It really puts in perspective of it. Teresa Kernvo says, hey, guys. And she says she missed it, but she'll rewatch. Yeah, that's the thing about it, too, guys. If you're watching, you don't really need to know this. But a lot of people, I hear that every day. People say, man, I missed your live show. I'll have to check it out next Thursday. But you don't have to watch it live. You can go back and watch it tomorrow or next week, or you can scroll back and watch the shows from weeks ago. So you just got to go back there and click it. So. But who are we going to do next week, Jameson?
I guess we could stick to some religious folks. I mean, John G. Fee would be a good guy, or
that would be a great one.
We could. I don't know. Was it Elijah Craig? Was he was a?
We can't go do Elijah Craig. He was a distiller. We were off the whiskey.
Oh, that's right.
Your name's Jameson too. My gosh, no wonder you want the whiskey stuff all the time. I'm just teasing. So, yeah, and what comment in the comments who you'd like to see. We did that. I think your question last week was, if you could go back and talk to anybody, who would it be?
So who would the people in the audience, I guess, want us to talk about, or is there any suggestions on who we could talk about next time, or event? It doesn't have to be a person. This is an event. There's plenty of stuff.
Daniel Boone says the greatest book ever written on this subject is The Children of Zion. I don't have that book. I thought I had all those books, but I don't have that one. I have to check that one out. Amazon tonight. Children of Zion. Got to check. Maybe that's the next giveaway, right? So, Taryn Kellogg Asmit says, hey, she's watching from Nebraska. Teresa said Bishop Flagey, or is that Flaggett? Is a good one. He built the cathedral in Bardstown.
Bardstown, yes. That is pretty good. That is a pretty good one. But, I mean, a lot of Catholics came to Bardstown. So
huge amount. Yeah. And Jordan Freshour says Elijah Craig sounds awesome to me. Jordan, we're not talking about the whiskey again. Kind of thing. It's Elijah Craig is a famous minister, led the traveling church. A huge important person to Kentucky, a lot more than bourbon. So, all righty. So we'll figure it out. Make sure you comment, share the post, kind of thing. Tag some folks. Teresa says Cathedrals in the Wilderness is written about him.
Oh, okay.
She says, quote, Flagey en français. Je peux français, tu le français le toi de Milan. But anyway, I can speak a little French. I've actually taught in Africa in French, so I guess that would be flagey. So you weren't expecting that tonight, were you?
No, we were not. I'll stick with Marquis de Lafayette.
Marquis de Lafayette. Remember? But anyway. So we'll sign off for now, I guess, Jameson. And do you have anything else you want to say?
One last thing. I did create a Kentucky history group. If people want to go join it on Facebook, I guess I should say that as well. But I'll be posting the podcast episodes and some family tree nut stuff and everything that relates to Kentucky history. So check that out if you want to check out the podcast. And maybe we need to get Mr. Daniel Boone on the podcast as well. We could talk some Daniel Boone. But Kentucky History Podcast. Oh man,
he's good.
Kentucky History Podcast. You can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. So go check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teresa says it's flagé is what she said. That's what she said. Flagé.
Flagé. Flagé. I took a French class in high school.
You did take French.
Je m'appelle Jameson. That's all I got.
A little bit of Kentucky accent thrown in there, but hey, Family Tree Nuts, we got a lot of stuff going on too. We've been doing tons and tons of video projects lately, and a lot of family tree stuff work is going on. There's so much coming out. Just in the next couple of days, watch out for some really cool stuff that's coming out. So, anyway, you want to say anything else, Jameson?
That's all for me.
All right, so we'll sign out for now. And hey, remember, Family Tree Nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
Welcome to the YouTube channel of Family Tree Nuts. Here you will find a wealth of videos jam-packed full of history. And our team of videographers make videos all over the country. The types of videos we do fall into 3 groups. First, historic location or people videos. In these videos, we give you a short, to-the-point history of our subject. Let's face it, few of us are going to watch a long video anyway, so we try to give you as many facts as we can, as fast as we can. Many of these videos are done for historical or tourism organizations. Second, ancestor story videos. We team up with our clients at locations relevant to their ancestors, and we tell their stories. You will find incredible histories that many are not aware of, as well as how well-known historical events had an impact on real-life people and how it changed the course of their families. Third, life interviews. How many times have you heard someone say, "Man, I wish I had written down Grandma's stories"? Sadly, we hear this every day. Life interviews are done with the family's elder, and we ask them questions about their lives. These stories are documented here and searchable forever in the voices of their family member. These are absolute treasures. We hope you enjoy what you find on our YouTube channel. We post videos several times a week and sometimes every day. We invite you to subscribe to our channel and share the videos that you think other people would like to see. Don't forget to click the bell to get notifications as to when we post new videos. Thanks for checking us out, and remember, Family Tree Nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.